Welcome back to Just Giants with Grump on the Cranky Fan, your favorite Giants podcast. I'm your host, the Football Grump. With me, as always, is Mike, the Cranky Fan, and we are full steam ahead out of the bye week into Week 12 versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a very important game for me and Cranky. And then we roll into Thanksgiving, which we're also going to have another Giants game for Thanksgiving. So it's we're shot out of a cannon, and we've got 3 episodes coming in about less than 7 days.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out next week with travel and everything. But big game for us, Grump. The Bucs, to you probably is no big deal, but is probably my biggest rival outside of the division rivals. And as you all know, I lived down in Florida for almost 15 years. Most of my good friends are Buck fans, and we go at it all the time. So this is, one of those you can throw the record book out the window type of games for me. So I am, we're a bad team about to play a third string quarterback, but I am pretty excited.
And speaking of that third string quarterback, let's get right into our headlines for this week. Daniel Jones was the scout team safety in today's practice, which basically means that he was standing in a particular spot. And he addressed the media today, I guess, in his normal contractually obligated address to reporters or whatever. A prepared statement about basically his closing statements as being the starter for the New York Giants. Probably his last, address of any significance. It was kind of a sad little speech, but it was, a reflection of the last 6 years here. Right? 6 years of Daniel Jones, 2018.
6 years.
Right? Yeah.
That's when you think about it, that's actually a pretty long tenure for a quarterback with a team. Mm-hmm. Due to injury, due to free agency, due to whatever, guys move around, and to have someone for 6 years, albeit, it's not going to be in the Ring of Honor or anything, but it's not like a cup of coffee with him. He was a quarterback here for quite a while.
Yeah. And so, I guess that solidifies it. They even brought in Tim Boyle to be quarterback 3. We will not see, there is 0% chance that Jones will see anything resembling even a practice field. So they are fully protected from his injury clause. This is the move, right? We already discussed this, but this is the final nail in the coffin. They brought in a fourth quarterback. There's no chance Jones is seeing the field. He will not be the emergency QB3 inactive for the game. He will simply be inactive, and this is it. And this is what we want as fans, right? If you're moving on and you're moving forward, you need to wipe as much money as you can, and that's what this move is.
You can't be half pregnant, Grump. If you're going to go for it, you have to pull the Band-Aid off and go. It's time to move on. You made the decision, tough decision, but it's been made, and you have to make the decision fully. You want to protect him from injury. You put him in bubble wrap, sitting on the bench. You don't do anything to risk anything. So,
to quote a friend of the show, Jets fan Dom C, rip the Band-Aid off. Just rip it off. Don't peel it slowly. Don't wiggle the loose tooth. Just rip it. So, you remember that when you were a kid? You used to play with it with your tongue. You'd be pushing that loose tooth back and forth, and it would.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course. Fun. Good times.
It's so much less agonizing to just yank it one time and have it hurt for 5 minutes than it is to spend 3 days wiggling it.
Oh no, I'm a big baby. I can't do that. You should see me. When you go to the
you
doctor,
won't even ride roller coasters.
Oh, screw that. But when you go to the doctor and you have to get they put all the things on you for all the heart tests I have and everything, and it sticks to your hairs.
Oh yeah.
Being the Italian that I am, I don't just rip those off. I use my trusty little adhesives here, and it takes me about an hour to get out of the doctor's office, slowly take them off. I'm a big baby.
All right, so then full well that that this is the move, because
I'm asking to do not what I would do in the case of body hair. I'm talking about running a football team. This is the absolute 100% right move.
Yeah. Regarding Tommy DeVito, I keep seeing a bunch of silly opinions about him. For starters, just aggregating his stats. All of a sudden, it's okay to aggregate stats and take away all context. The fact that he was not getting really any practice reps last year, shouldn't have even been sniffing the shouldn't have even been allowed to cut the grass at MetLife Stadium, and then had to play like 9-10 games last year.
He should be what Daniel Jones is doing right now.
Probably,
being that
yeah.
scout guy who stands there and learning. And no, he was starting games, primetime games. Yeah.
And then even this opinion of which by the way, he came out and said, like, I guess reporters were in his face about like, oh, you're gonna do the hand gesture thing. He's like, no, I'm trying to play football right now. Last year was fun. I don't, regret anything I did, but like I'm just trying to win games now. And I heard this opinion too, like in person. People were, just kind of telling me like, I hope he just tries to play football. He doesn't do this. I don't fucking care. I don't care. I don't care what any player does on the field celebration wise. I don't care what any player does on Saturday for $10,000 making a signing at a local pizzeria. I don't give a shit. I don't know why everybody else holds Tommy DeVito to some standard that no other athlete has. Like, suddenly he can't sign signatures. He can't do his autograph in local things, even though he's from this state. He's playing for the state team. Like, it's a normal thing to happen.
If you're doing this thing with your hand, that means something good happened. So we should all be hoping he does do something like that.
Yeah.
That means something good happened. But, it's silly. It's, last year he probably got the joke. He's like, hey,
I don't belong here.
He seemed like a pretty level-headed guy. He had, the cartoon character agent, and they really played it up and everything. But this is a different year. I think, now he's in a fighting to keep his job, and this is an evaluation period. Last year was an evaluation period. Last year was we literally have nobody else. Now it's like we're using this time. We've made a conscious decision to play him, and it's not just for fun and games. So it's not like he's going to be treating this like a joke, but he knows that this is more important for his career, these next 5 or 6 games, than what last year was for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to Tommy DeVito, and what to kind of expect, I saw, I think it was Art Stapleton had a tweet about like, Brian Daboll had to tell, well, I don't know if he had to, but allegedly told Malik Neighbors to be ready for the ball to be thrown, because it's going to be coming before he's out of his break. Like, Tommy DeVito he's not a gun-shy quarterback just because he's not very good. And we saw this last year. Like, the downfield passing attack opened up when Jones wasn't playing, with both Tyrod Taylor and Tommy DeVito. I am not here to give you any disillusions about which quarterback was better. Tyrod Taylor is a better quarterback than Tommy DeVito. I'm not trying to say that, but what I am saying is that the downfield passing attack didn't go away because Tommy DeVito was there. If you want to cherry pick the games in which he didn't have practice reps, be my guest. They were ugly games. They were unwatchable. If you really want to go back and rewatch them to prove me wrong, that sucks for you. But
get a girlfriend.
Yeah, but also you just pissed yourself off for 3 hours just to prove a point, I guess. But the point is that come Sunday, also we're evaluating a guy who's had a full year in the system, a full week of practice reps, I have to assume. A full week of practice reps because they announced it on Monday. I don't know if he got the heads up during the bye week, like, be ready. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he's always ready because that's what these guys are trained to do. It's literally their job to go and be ready. So,
yeah.
I expect it to look better than last year.
I think better offensive line than last year.
Better team, better receivers, better the same running back production more or less. And that kind of goes to this other point I want to make here, in that this is like the most logical time to be making these big switches, right? After a bye week, the bye week is happening like smack in the middle of the season. But it does feel like this front office and coaching staff have done their evaluation so that when they make changes, they're comfortable with them. So, I mean, I think it was Research Rick that brought up the point, but I wholly agree with it, that moment in which Drew Lock came in for Daniel Jones in whatever game in garbage time to quote-unquote create a spark was really Drew Lock's final evaluation period. He's looked bad since spring. He looked bad in the summer. He looked bad in preseason. This was his last chance to not look bad, and he looked bad. So that was the nail in the coffin for going to quarterback 2, in my opinion. I think they also did the experiment with bringing Evan David Neal back, seeing how he looked at right tackle, how Jermaine Illuminor looked at left tackle. They did that last week or 2 weeks ago against Carolina. That experiment is done. I think they know how they want the offensive line to look for the last 7 games. And really, with Kayvon Thibodeau returning to practice this week, a full participant following his surgery in his wrist, I believe, this is a mostly healthy team. Darius Slayton is returning from concussion. Malik Neighbors is back. Wan'Dale Robinson is healthy. Jalen Hyatt is still healthy. The offensive line outside of Andrew Thomas is still pretty healthy. What am I missing here?
Pretty ironic, huh? We're actually healthy for once this time of year. It's interesting. When they brought Drew Lock in, the phrase used was to provide a spark. And we all know that's bullshit. So I'm wondering if he actually used that term as kind of like taking less pressure off himself and with the media to say this. We can't say, well, we want to give Drew Lock an evaluation or to see what he can do, because I think that puts more pressure on things. I think to provide a spark is the opposite. It's like, it takes pressure off Lock, takes pressure off the team. It's like, well, we're going to see if we can stir it up a little bit. When you start saying things like we want to give him an evaluation or even one shot to do this, I think that makes it harder. So, we all know when he said that was silly, but I think there might have been something to the words he used for that.
Yeah, I think once you say the words like we wanted to evaluate him or whatever, you're creating a downhill trajectory of people jumping to conclusions and whatever.
And also for Drew Lock too. I mean,
sure.
We've all written off Drew Lock, but we, in that moment we want Drew Lock to succeed. And when you say something like we want him to provide a spark, if I say to you, hey Grump, this party's boring, go create a spark here. That's like, I have confidence in you to go do something good. Go take your pants off and run.
I was going to say here comes the tequila body shots that get me in trouble.
Let's go. But if you're putting it in the mindset of like, well, we want to take a look at Locke and see what he can do, like that's not building up your team or building up your players or building up any expectations we might have.
Yeah, I agree. And to the point of Drew Lock's comments, they're understandable. They were professional. To Dexter Lawrence and the I believe it's the Schultz report about a few Giants players being upset with the way the Daniel Jones situation is. I guarantee you that every single one of those players is not nearly as upset with the way Daniel Jones' situation was handled as they are with how bad the product on the field is and how badly they want to win. I promise you all of these people want a winning product. And if these people, because they were anonymous, other than Dexter Lawrence, who is here for like the next 4 years under contract, those that are here for a long time will say what they need to say about Daniel Jones now while he's their teammate. They're not going to throw him under the bus at any point in their careers. But come April, when this is a new team and a new season and a new direction, that is the only thing that they're concerned about, is winning. And this is the move that needs to happen to help them win more. They need to create that extra cap space by making sure he doesn't get hurt. He needs to sit. He needs to be absolutely 110% bubble wrapped so that they can get the full amount back on their investment that they can. And I'm sure that when the microphones are off and there are no cameras rolling, people like Dexter Lawrence 100% understand and just simply feel bad for their teammate. And that's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there is any reason for fans to take those specific quotes and reports and be like, the locker room is falling apart. I don't know if you feel differently, but I feel that way personally.
The locker room is compiled of 2 different classes of player. There are, three. Let's put 3 classes of player. There's Class A, who are going to be here next year, the year after, and the year after. They have been designated as the building blocks of this team going forward, of a potential rebuild and be cornerstones if this team is ever good again. The second group are the people that are hoping they'll be back next year. They can't worry about what's going to happen if we draft a quarterback next year and see what happens down the line. They are fighting for their survival with the hope that they may or may be back. The third group, as soon as that final the gun goes off at the end of week 18, they can just go to the locker room and just pack their shit up and be gone because they will never be back.
Saquon Barkley.
What's that?
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, guys that it doesn't. Daniel Jones won't be the quarterback next year. Well, it's not going to be their problem. You're not going to be the backup cornerback or whoever you are on this team. So everybody in this league, they're professionals. They are worried about winning is very, very important. They're worried about their own self-preservation in the league. They're worried about their money. They're worried about their brand. And the wise ones will say the right things in public so not to damage said brand, which could damage said money and not get them on said winning teams. So you know how I feel about press conferences, interviews. I don't care what people say. I really don't, because it's filtered and it's polished and it's packaged and it's thought out to be as clean as we can and as little waves possible. Sometimes it comes out, but
diplomatic.
Do you want to be diplomatic? You just want to get through the interview to get over with. So
yeah, and I think there's something to the new age of media and sports media. Well, I guess it works both ways, but to keep it in the realm of sports media, the story of the 2024 Giants is pretty much 99% written, even though there are 7 games left. As fans, there's still product to watch, but the reality is that there isn't a whole lot to write about right now. And I'm not saying that that's the motivating factor for a bunch of reports. It's just that we live in an age where there's a new report on the Giants, or insert team here, every 24 hours. And the truth is, there's just nothing else to talk about. I've had the same conversation. Today is Thursday. We're recording this. I've had the same conversation in my office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and today, because there isn't anything to say. There's nothing to say. So all you have is the same story cycling the drain, just like this team.
And remember something, Grump. Up until about 10 years ago, writers' job was to sell newspapers. Now their job is to sell themselves.
Sell clicks. Will you click on this link? Yes.
They're building their own, just like the players that make their brand is part of their overall package. When Art Stapleton says something, and he doesn't just wait till he puts it in NorthJersey.com so you can read it online or read the physical paper. Although I believe NewJersey.com is going away, the record, the paper. But he can't wait to get that out on Twitter first. Because, the more engagement he gets, the more followers he gets, the more
readers he gets, the more clicks that eventually go to his thing, the more dollars in his account.
More dollars in his account, more so even than, does it help the NewJersey.com? Maybe, possibly, but it's ultimately helping him. So these guys are trying to stay relevant in an ever decreasing window cycle. We're watching clips that are 10, 15 seconds long, like the day of the long form, article that's dead. Reading a column, that's dead. Reading a gamer, that's kind of dead. It's just, let me see in 10 seconds something that happened. Let me read 160 characters. So they're causing the problem too. It's not just that we're in a bad state with the team. It's they are creating filler, and then the sheep who read it go wild because that's all they see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to blame reporters for doing their job. It's on individual people to be like understanding when they've already read this story before, and that there is nothing new in this new story. But
I think there's a very fine line between reporting and creating your own news.
That's definitely true too.
Yeah.
In regards to this particular game, the Tampa Bay Bucks are currently not doing so well at 4-6 in the NFC South, but this is not what I would consider a bad team. I think the NFC South, now you're looking at what happened. New Orleans is jettisoned its head coach. They are in full teardown right now. Carolina is absolutely horrendous. We've known this for a little bit. Did they trade away some people?
The Bucks?
No. The Panthers.
I don't believe they have.
Oh. The Panthers are an absolute mess. And right now, it's looking like it's Atlanta and Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay, despite being 4-6, they have had a gauntlet the last 3 weeks. Well, the last 4 weeks. They were on a bye week last week. Also, I am sure they are viewing these next 3 weeks and like probably the next 6 weeks. This is their chance. Like they can still be a 10-win team. There are at least 6 possible wins on their remaining schedule. And they've got us. I know they got the Raiders. I think they still have another Panthers game. I think they still have another Saints game. I think they have Dallas coming up. Like, these are all winnable games for this team. This is a team that took San Francisco. Well, San Francisco missed a shitload of field goals in that game, but they took San Francisco down to the final seconds. This is not a garbage team, in my opinion. Would
They've
you
been
agree with
banged
that?
up. Yeah, they've been banged up. Both receivers. Godwin's out for the year. What's his name is back this week. And
Is that confirmed that Mike Evans is back next week?
I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but it seems like all indications are he'll be back.
Okay.
I am preparing that he will be back. Of course, my preparations have absolutely nothing with the Giants, but I'm mentally preparing for him to be back.
I'm sorry. He is a full participant today, Thursday, Mike Evans.
Yeah, that's why I'm figuring he's going to be back. Baker Mayfield is, I kind of feel like
he earned a 3-year, $50 million contract.
Yeah, I put him almost in the same category of where Daniel Jones was after our playoff run, where, gets him to the playoffs, wins a playoff game, and you're like, he's not the greatest guy in the world. He seems like he's done some things. You kind of have to pay him.
Yeah.
He's been more, healthier, obviously, than Daniel Jones. And also, it's, we're coming off that year last year, but I think he would have represented the best case scenario of what Daniel Jones could have been, staying healthy and, having the talent that he had around him for the amount of money, because they were both around 14th, 15th highest paid quarterback after when they signed their deal. So it was about the same. And again, if Daniel Jones stays completely healthy after that playoff game, you probably have Baker Mayfield. Now, if you put Baker Mayfield on this Giants team, you're a heck of a lot closer to the record the Bucs have than what the Giants have, for sure.
Well,
right?
the 2-win difference?
Maybe even better. I mean, probably even better.
I would say probably better. It seems like the Bucs had kind of a tougher start to their season schedule-wise than the Giants have. I mean, who's the toughest opponents that the Giants have faced thus far? Minnesota and whom? Philly,
yeah.
I guess. For the record, Philly lost to Tampa Bay. So the other thing, too, with Tampa Bay having a potential 10-win season still in their sights, they have a lot of crucial tiebreakers. They beat Detroit. They beat Philly.
Yeah, that Detroit game screwed me out of my my Survivor pick, too. Yeah. So another reason why the Bucs. But just a quick heads up for everybody: if you want to survive in a Survivor pool, don't ever touch a Bucs game for or against them, because they have boned me about 6 times in the last decade. So just a little insight.
Yeah. In addition to that, they've also beaten Washington and Philly. Just saying. So this is like
impressive.
The wins, the 4 wins that they have are crucial for tiebreakers going in towards the wild card. I don't think that they're going to catch Atlanta, but I think that this team knows that they are still, despite only being 4-6, they know that those were 4 very important wins.
I know a lot of people didn't watch that Tampa Bay Atlanta game. That was the Thursday night when the Mets
the overtime game.
Right, when the Mets had that walk-off win to win that playoff series, but on the other TV in the bar was a really, really exciting back and forth Bucs Atlanta game where they were just kind of throwing haymakers at each other.
Yeah, so this is I don't expect a win in this game, unfortunately. I didn't check the weather. Did you? I know we're attending and we have a party going, so.
This is pretty amazing, Grump. It's actually going to be warmer in East Rutherford on Sunday than it will be in Gainesville on Saturday. It's going to be about early 50s, low 50s, but sunny, where it's going to be very cold down there. So it's
going to be colder than 50 in Gainesville on Saturday?
In the morning. It's going to be like in the upper 40s when we wake up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What are you guys going to do?
Well,
I mean,
We always do.
you'll be
Tailgate.
okay, but what about all of the student bodies not going to show up?
It's going to be a mess. Yeah, because they dress like it's 80 degrees year round. When it gets cold, they're not a handle it.
Do they own anything besides flip flops?
Negative. So it could be entertaining people watching that day. But I digress.
I don't feel like this is going to be a win. I actually, again, this is not like a vote of confidence into Tommy DeVito, but I do think that the lack of being able to open up the offense all year has a surprise factor for what I think Daboll is going to come out with Tommy DeVito. And I think that the offense is going to wow sometimes, but generally look not good. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think you'll have not necessarily explosive plays, but maybe like a broken tackle that goes for like 40 yards and in crucial moments, and then you'll get some points on the back end of it. But I think that the defense isn't good. I mean, and I don't want to make a big story out of this because I already saw that there was some BS fucking outsider story about a rift starting between the defense and the offense in the locker room. The defense has been bad all year, right? And we knew that going into it. They put all their investments in the offense. So I'm not going to shit my pants if Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield are able to throw for 400 plus yards on the Giants defense. I'm not going to lose my mind over that. I kind of fully expect it. I don't know what you think though.
Who should be more angrier in an offense versus defense tiff? The offense at the defense or the defense at the offense? I was actually thinking about that.
That's the thing, because like the defense has been consistent, aside from getting sacks, right? That is definitely something that they have been doing. They have three impressive high investment rushers with Thibodeau, Burns, and Dexter Lawrence.
And Aziz, who's not high investment, but he's also
he's straight up pass rusher, right?
Right.
It doesn't tell the story of how bad they are in the run game. They have one fucking turnover this year on defense, and it's from a tipped ball. It's not like
unbelievable.
Yeah, it is crazy.
I hate that word, unbelievable. I want it banned from broadcast. But when you say it, we've had one turnover in how many games now? 11?
Yeah.
12? What are we at? That's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah. So the defense has been consistently just not good, and we knew that. So when I say this, it's not no one has a right to be mad at anybody. I think that the defense is playing better than they are on paper, personally, even though they're not playing well. All of the heavy lifting is in the front. There's not really much to speak of in the secondary. You have a rookie safety, Deonte Banks and who? You know what I mean? Like you have a cornerback 2. You have no cornerback 1. You've got no safety 1. This is not a good defense. On the offensive side of the ball, it's like they can do stuff, but the most important position hasn't been good all year.
I think they're going to try to do different things they couldn't do, but I think the execution is just going to be poor because it's Tommy DeVito. I mean, that's not. I'm not trying to knock Tommy DeVito for sucking. It's just you are what you are.
That's exactly what I said, right? Like I think overall it's going to be a bad game offensively. Like, but there are going to be shot plays. But for instance, let's pretend that 2 weeks ago in Munich, Germany, Tommy DeVito was playing quarterback. Okay, you have a 3rd and 1, a 4th and 1, whatever down and distance it was, and you run a flea flicker. Tommy DeVito throws that ball. I think any quarterback throws it. I have no idea why Daniel Jones didn't throw the ball, but any quarterback throws that ball. You have 2 wide open guys deep down the field. In that scenario, right there, you might say, like, oh, that's a gimmick because of Tommy DeVito. Okay, maybe, fine, whatever. And overall, the whole offense looked bad that whole game. But the shot play was there. It was called, and that kind of play, I think, is going to get either executed or at least close enough where there'll be like a defensive pass interference. There will be chain moving. I just think overall the offense will look ugly.
I'll throw you one further. I don't even think we even do a flea flicker in that situation. I think there's a little more confidence that to complete a basic play, I think they feel a little more confident in DeVito. And that's shocking to say, but, they are not giving Tommy DeVito the entire playbook. This is something to consider also. It's a different situation than last year where he was thrown in and wasn't prepared. But they are not saying, here is what the Brian, here's what the, they're not even giving him the, here's what the playbook was for Daniel Jones. Never mind, here's what the Brian Daboll playbook really should be. They are going to give him a little cutout of the playbook, you know, things that he's comfortable running, things he's been running in practice all year, whatever snaps he
And
has.
also things that work well in this matchup.
Exactly, exactly. So I don't think you're not going to have the Waffle House,
Menu.
menu to go from. You're going to have more of like the late night menu of like, we have three things. You can pick one from column A, one from column
Yeah,
B. So
you get the menu from My Cousin Vinny. For those of you who don't, it was breakfast, lunch, dinner.
sounds good. But
Um,
yeah, I think again, because you're also trying, you're trying to see what Tommy DeVito would do, but you also want to put him in the best position to succeed. You want him to succeed. You want this team to succeed. There's people still fighting for their jobs, and that may or may not include the head coach. So I think you're going to see a very simplified. You're going to see a kind of I think a pretty vanilla. That doesn't mean we're not going to take any shots, but I think the play calling is going to be kind of vanilla. I think the number of different types of plays you're going to see is going to be a lot less varied than what you have been seeing.
so let me
And
ask
that's
you,
okay.
before we get to predictions and
Yeah.
move around the NFC East to the other two games, I want your opinion on how much is Daboll's job tied to the performance of this team down the stretch, and how much is tied to just the overall locker room? I don't know what to say. Like off the field stuff is tied to his job. Like, because for instance, I'll just give my opinion first, and then you can kind of react and tell me what you think. I don't think that if this team doesn't do well on the field down the stretch, it has any reflection on Brian Daboll. I do think, I think in this moment, he's safe. I think. But if there is some sort of off the field dysfunction, if you know what I mean, like something on the same level of what happened with Wink Martindale, but maybe with half the locker room or something like that, if that kind of shit starts to surface, then his job gets hot. I do think though that if this team starts playing very well down the stretch, it will have a positive impact on Brian Daboll's future here. Like he can on the field only do positive things for himself, in my opinion, at this
Mhm.
point. I don't know what you think though.
I think the very second the decision was made to go away from Daniel Jones and go towards a bigger view of this team other than just this season, I think Daboll's job and Joe Shane's job became 100% safe. And even if there was some sort of Wink Martindale thing at the end of the year, it had best be Brian Daboll's fault why that happened. I mean, if there's dysfunction and it's because we have some rogue asshole coach or some player being rogue, you kill the cancer. You get the radiation treatment, you get rid of them. So I think they're 100%. I think if they would have kept along the Daniel Jones, like if there was no injury out, for example, and they were like, we're just sticking with Daniel Jones, because I think they would have stuck with Daniel Jones the rest of the year. And let's say the record ended up being 4-13. I think there was a halfway decent chance that one or two might have been gone. I think making a decision where, you know, as much as everybody doesn't like Daniel Jones and very much has seen enough data points about him that, he's not the guy, I look at the rest of the quarterback room and I say, you tell me somewhere out there that gives me a better chance to win. And I don't think that could be, you know, I don't think that's out there. So I think when trying to win every single game no longer is priority one, you can't evaluate. You're looking for the future. And if you're not firing the coach and the GM at that moment you make that decision, that means you're riding with them. It's kind of the reverse of pulling the band-aid off. You're grabbing another band-aid and putting it on there and packing it deeper, making sure that bandage is getting rid of all the blood and stopping it. So I think they're both they may lose the rest of the games this year, but I think the decision's been made. They're coming back. And and I don't buy some of these other reasons like, well, Mayor doesn't like, he's upset. Mayor doesn't want empty seats. That's nobody cares. Nobody cares what Mayor thinks. Nobody cares that Mayor can't sleep at night.
Well, also,
The
just
tickets
again,
are sold already. The Giants don't get a percentage of every hot dog that's sold and every beer that's sold. It's a concession thing. They already made their money on that stuff. Parking's already bastards to pay for it. None of that shit matters. It's all about big picture at this point.
yeah. The other thing, to talk about ripping the Band-Aid off. Look, if Mara doesn't like empty seats, okay, fine. But if you want to like next year's a new year, like you are benching Daniel Jones, you're gonna have the extra cap space. Like win, just deal with the empty seats one year instead of dealing with it at the last 5 games every single year, right?
Grump, this is the modern NFL. Those seats are not going to be empty.
Well, no,
there's going to be how many thousands of Baltimore fans coming down?
Sure.
And all these other games. The day of the empty seat in a place like New York, where you have so many different people.
Well,
coming,
I don't know. It's kind of cold.
If you're a Raven fan, especially you got like Lamar Jackson, if you're like a fan of him as much, and he's playing in New York, and on StubHub I get tickets for $80 in the lower level. Our seats will be filled. I'm not worried. And by the way, we have 2 tickets available if anybody's interested in tickets. Please DM me at the Cranky Fan because we need to get rid of them.
Okay.
Not because we're discussing with the team. We have our family Christmas party.
Correct.
Yes. Let's make that clear.
All right. So going into this game, I think the Giants lose this game, and I think they lose it 30-20. Like I think I've already given my synopsis. I think that the defense can't stop a nosebleed. And I think that the Giants' offense has a couple of spark plays that score some points. I think they move the ball enough to kick a few field goals, but that's really it. 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals. I don't think that's unreasonable.
I'd be ecstatic if we could do that. I think we're going to lose 24-10. I think there's a touchdown in there, but it might be something like another Tracy more than 25-yard run where something like a busted play or just there's one fantastic hole and he hits that hole and is gone. Right. I don't think it's the result of
sustained drives. I mean, okay, this is the one thing I think that will change between Tommy DeVito and Daniel Jones. I know you were talking. I'm really sorry. I cut you off.
No, you're about to say what I'm about to say, so go and say it.
Okay.
We're on the same page with this.
The one thing that Daniel Jones has done very well this season is long, sustained drives. He has had several 10, 12-play drives that eat up a ton of clock. And, of course, on the negative side of that is the average depth of target has been really low. There's a lot of leaning on the running game. There's a lot of third downs. You know what I mean? And all of that is just more opportunity for mistakes, which we've also seen. I do not expect that same game plan with Tommy DeVito. I do think that the playbook is sort of the playbook at this point. I don't think that Brian Daboll is pulling out dusty sheets that he has not been able to use. Maybe a few plays here and there, but he's not going to come up with a whole new playbook of explosive
that's
plays.
Point from earlier, especially stuff that he's not comfortable or familiar with.
Right, but I do think that the object of the Daboll offense is not to be in third down every time you have a new set of downs. So I don't and I don't expect Tommy DeVito to operate more. I don't expect him to consistently have 10-play drives where he doesn't make mistakes that end in points. I think that he'll have a couple big plays that happen.
I honestly think they should continue to do just that because I think a lot of the reason why we were doing that type of offense and that type of game plan, not so much that Daniel Jones sucks, I think it's to keep our defense off the field too. When you have a nice 7-8 minute drive and you're going from 20 to 20, you're getting time of possession. You are keeping their offense off the field. And it's going to be harder to do now because you just watch the first drive and the second drive and see how linebackers and the safety is going to be creeping up. They're going to be expecting run too. So I think it's going to be harder to do that. But, if this offensive line it's been playing better, the running game has been better than we thought it was going to be, or I thought it was going to be, I would try to keep to most of the same principles we did under Jones, but maybe take a couple more shots. And I don't mean shots meaning 50-yard bombs. I mean, don't be afraid on second down or something to over the middle for 15, 20 yards or something.
Yeah, on 2nd and 2, instead of handing it to Tyrone Tracy for the first down, I expect a 10-yard
Don't play for
route.
first downs in those situations.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so those are our scores: 24-10 for you, 30-20 me. Dallas is going to Washington. Am I excited? I'm excited because, yes, I'm excited because I think Tommy DeVito is exciting. I think Tommy DeVito is fun. I think, and by that I don't mean him personally. I just mean the story of a hometown kid who has a small bit of personality. He has some likability to him. I think, I think this is as fun as this story gets. There, for instance, there is no juice behind Drew Lock going in, right? There's no excitement. I mean, even if they're the same caliber player, right? Everything else the same, different names, different faces. There's just no juice there. There is some level of juice when it's a hometown kid, right?
That's from the second coming in is what that is.
And this is coming from the fan side of me right here. That's just like, I spent the money on the tickets. I'm attending this game. It's like going to an amusement park on purpose and not riding any rides and being like, well, that sucked.
Off. I know you're talking about me with that.
No, but you get
roller coasters.
Okay, fine. It's like going into a movie expecting it to suck, and then lo and behold, you didn't have a good time, right? If you go in there with like an open mind and be like, yeah, I don't know,
make fun of it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, cool. I have to see this rom-com. At least you can riff tracks it or Mystery Science Theater 3000 your way through that movie, right? Go in there with an open mind, have fun, and you might come out of there having had fun. And so that side of me, there's that level of it. We have a big party going. This is my birthday weekend. So I'm excited anyway. Bobby's coming up. Bobby Skinner is going to be joining the tailgate this week. So, I mean, I'm excited for all of this. I think it's going to be a fun weekend.
A massive announcement for the tailgate. If you guys are going to the L16 tailgate, Cranky wife will be there making her first appearance. Yes, I actually am married. There is a real person. I'm not in love with just myself. So she will be out there. And I believe Grumpy GF will be there too, right?
That is true. Grumpy GF will be joining us.
I even brought one of my dopey friends from Florida is coming up with me from the Gator game and his daughter. So he'll get to experience, let's have a good representation of tailgates to show him that, up here we do a good job at the tailgate as well. So
listen, I'm
looking forward for all that stuff.
I'm going to defend your friend here because he is not just he is a Class A football fan. I'll say that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I hope I can pull the picture. I hope I still have it on my phone. The three of us, you, me, and him, won a contest for free seats at a Gators game. You don't even remember, do you? We took a picture at the hotel in Gainesville, and it was like the best picture wins. I don't know if it was tickets. I think they were, and I think you sold them or something. But
that tracks.
we took the picture stumbling home like 6 hours after the Gator game ended. We walked into the hotel, and there was like a backdrop, right? Like a press conference backdrop.
Yeah,
you remember that now, right? And we as a joke took a picture and we won for like best picture.
For best picture.
We were all 3 sheets to the wind. A total of 9 sheets to the wind.
Yes, and we'll be still stinky because we're flying up Saturday night from the Gator game. It's a noon game, so we're literally going from the stadium right to Gainesville Airport, getting in like at 12:30 Saturday night, and then quick turnaround to be there early for the tailgate. So no just-in-time tailgating for me. I will be there bright and early, and you'll be there bright and early. So
correct.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Are you excited for Dallas at Washington?
Well, I mean, I guess the team I hate the least will beat the team I hate the most in this. I don't like either team. I think Washington's really going to beat the shit out of them.
I think that Dallas might get the shit beat out of them every single week for the rest of the season.
Yes.
It is difficult for me to see otherwise right now.
Yeah, I mean,
they're in it's difficult for me to see that because I'm living in the same boat. So
it's like me with Florida and Florida State. Like Florida State may not win another game this year, but I really can't enjoy it because the Gators aren't very good. And it's the exact same situation with Dallas. I'd love to be dancing around and calling up the ticket in Dallas and telling them to go fuck off, but I can't because we stink too. I mean, is it over under for us and the Cowboys winning games the rest of the year combined 3, and we play each other Thanksgiving for one of those 3?
Yeah, I think you might be right. Philadelphia is going to LA to play Sean McVay's Rams. This one's a lot more interesting and a lot more difficult, I think, to predict. I ended up flipping a coin and it landed Rams. But I could see this one going both ways.
Have you changed your mind a little bit about Philly?
No, I don't think I have, because the most impressive thing they did was like slam the door shut the last game. But that was otherwise a close game through like 3.5 quarters, or close enough that. And again, they should be blowing these people out. I still maintain that they're not good enough to make a long playoff run. They might win one playoff game, I think, but they look worse than most Dallas teams do that always lose in the first round of the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll get that. Give you that.
Like, and again, this is not like just blind hatred. This is just that roster is very, very good, and then the product on the field is just not. It's above average.
I think when you have two Mike Tysons in that offense that at any moment can score, that's a big thing, especially in the playoffs when these teams get closer and closer. And you don't want to count on it, but it gives them the puncher's chance.
Yeah.
So, do you think this team is better than the Giant team that beat Minnesota in the playoffs 2 years ago?
The Eagles team?
The Eagles team now.
Yes. I think, you mean on paper or the whole package? Like,
whole package.
Yes.
Okay.
That Giants team was super limited. They were just well coached, and they were feeling themselves, and what they knew they could do, they did very, very well. But when it came time to like throwing haymakers, they had like one whole haymaker in their system.
It was my answer too. I was just curious because I know you were kind of like, this team is the worst fucking 5-1 team I've ever seen, or 5-2 team, and
I mean that's a little bit hyperbole saying it like that, which I probably did. But the truth, my true opinion is that there's not much more a GM can do to make the team better. I'll say it like that, right? Like the roster is pretty solid from top to bottom. What the coaching staff puts on the field, what they've been able to develop out of those players that has been collected by Howie Roseman has been disappointing to say the least. And those aren't really even my words. Those are Eagles fans' words that I know. So, I mean, I know that this is honestly and truthfully not coming from a place of blind hatred. It's coming from my actual objective football analysis, is that they should be a lot better than they are. And again, maybe they turn it on, and I keep saying like, oh, this is supposed to be the get right week for them, but every time it's supposed to get right, they win and it looks bad. You know what I mean? So it's hard to feel like they got right.
There's just something missing. And
right.
Whatever that missing, whether it's, is Jalen Hurts really that good? Is he holding his team back a bit?
Is the coaching staff or what is it? Or maybe the players aren't developing. Like, did you think that Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter would have been like maybe household names by now, and neither of them are?
I'm very relieved with that. The last thing I wanted in this world were Bulldog Eagles being dominant.
You're right.
That has not happened yet.
And I don't really understand why. And it's not like they're bad players. They just aren't taking the world by storm. And I don't know if it's Vic Fangio or the defensive line coach or what I don't know what it is.
Grump, I want to ask you a question. If you want to just take this out completely, go ahead. But what do you think the odds actually are that the Cowboys next year bring in Dion and draft his son? And how much would you be ready to watch that train wreck happen?
I think.
Or would it be a train wreck?
I think
that too.
I think the odds are low. There's nothing about what Dion does that is genuine enough to be like, yes, I believe you. But at the same time, like I do think that he's doing the correct actions. Where if he were to stay at Colorado, they make sense, right? Like he just. Like I think maybe even just today, like had like a 5-star commit recruit for a quarterback.
They got a quarterback, yeah.
And I'm sure that look, the mechanism is there, right? Like if Dion leaves, the transfer portal exists. I'm sure that kid knows that kid will leave if Dion leaves. I know that all that happens, but the point is that like if Dion is already having these conversations with Jerry Jones or whatever, wherever his son goes, like if he's having these conversations with these teams drafting high, there's no impetus to do that. I don't really know what his recruiting was like at Jackson State after 2 years. You know what I mean?
He got Travis Hunter to go to Jackson State, and then they both went to Colorado. So that's a massive pull.
Right, but what I mean is, after that first year, who was he recruiting at Jackson State?
How long was he at Jackson State for?
2 years.
2 years? I don't know.
That's what I mean. I don't really know. But what I'm saying, he is doing all the right things. Where that if he stays in Colorado, it all makes sense.
The way college football works when you're playing bad teams is if you have a really good quarterback, and I'm not saying that Shedeur Sanders is going to be a great NFL quarterback, I'm talking about in the college level, and you have an elite talent, you will beat teams just on that alone. Just on that's how important those positions are in the college game when you're playing poor talent. I don't think because he happens to have a very good quarterback who he got because it's his blood. And the connection he has with Travis Hunter, I don't know how much that actually kind of translates out. So I hope the Cowboys do it because I sure.
Well, I mean, I think that Deion coaching is
very low.
Yeah, but Shedeur is a good quarterback, so I don't love the idea of Shedeur going a good quarterback going to the Cowboys.
What are they going to do with they just signed what's his name?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't think it happens because
contract.
that's the thing. Like, I just don't know that it happens because they are financially committed to Dak Prescott. So,
and I apologize for dropping into the Skip Bayless level of low grade conversation.
Yeah,
we were talking about the NFC East, and I was just like, curious what you thought.
It's all good, but you didn't give me a prediction. Who wins, Rams or Eagles? It's tough, right?
I think the Eagles are going to win.
Okay.
I think they're going to kind of they're going to underwhelm us all the way to like 13-3.
Yeah, I think that's totally possible. I really do. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Just Giants. We will see you Monday.
My
Tuesday
guess is
morning.
My guess that'll probably be a combination preview show because with the travel for the holidays and everything.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're gonna have a review. I don't know when we're gonna do the review game for the Thanksgiving game because I will be away. I don't know.
I'll
if
be away.
Laptop. Yeah, but nevertheless, there will be an episode between now and then. So
we'll figure something out.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
You guys are hanging on our thoughts for the playoffs or anything. So
yeah, right.
Okay.
All right, so you know where to find us: iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and of course YouTube. You can find us on Twitter as well. Until next time, go Giants!
Go Giants!